The increase in water tariffs comes just 2 days after electricity tariffs were adjusted upwards by 18.63%. The PURC has clarified that these adjustments aim to support utility service providers as the cost of doing business rises. Consequently, consumers will have to pay more for utility services starting from June 1. However, given the current economic challenges, some members of the public were hoping for a suspension of the adjustment. The concern is how this change will affect local businesses and, more importantly, the jobs that rely on water for production. The Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, representing indigenous companies in Ghana, fears that many of its members may be forced to shut down or take drastic measures to sustain their operations.
The data has it that over 90% of all of these people who start business collapse even before the first year ends. That's the reality. This is because the entire entrepreneurial environment is very harsh for the businessman. Our expectations will be that this time of review, they will reduce it, or at best just leave it as it were. So this increment is not welcome at all. But it's also fair to mention, though, that for the water, the increment is not as huge as it was before. I guess they are listening to our advocacy and they are really listening to our plight and so on. But the reality is this. The private sector is suffering. You realize that we're competing with goods that are imported, finished products that are imported. So manufacturing locally, vis-a-vis competing with these imported goods, has to be done in a manner that it makes sense for the businessman to continue to produce locally.
Increases in utility prices have a wide-ranging impact on various aspects of people's lives. Organized labor is displeased with this development. Earlier this year, after 10 consecutive meetings between the government and organized labor, a 30% base pay increment for 2023 was agreed upon. However, Thomas Musa, a member of Organized Labour and the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, states that the announced adjustment will erode the progress made to cushion ordinary workers.
When we started, the base pay was ahead of minimum wage, but today the minimum wage has overtaken base pay to the extent that 2022, 2021, 2022, we went in for 4.7%. Now we're seeing our plight. Thank God for what happened in 2023 that actually a bit cushion workers. But even with that one, we still have a deficit of about 90%, which has to be covered. And so with this increment, we are still going back to cost 90, meaning that we are going back to our original position. You realize that when we had this money, electricity bill was at a particular rate, water was at a particular rate. So if the variables based upon which the money was given you, even at that time, we have about 90% deficit. And today, those variables have changed significantly, certainly. Because water is something where water is life.
Thomas Musa further warns that this development may trigger a demand for another adjustment to the base pay of workers in the near future.
We need to tread cautiously regarding some of these things that we are doing. And aside that one, it will certainly tell labor that, look, we are worse off and government should be ready during the negotiation to increase our salaries to be able to pay these particular bills. And we are drawing the attention of Fair Wages and Salary Commission. We are drawing the attention. Now, when the D-Day comes and we are discussing it, they should learn from the PURC. PURC is defending and explaining, justifying why we should pay that. They should also be ready to provide that kind of justification why labor should be paid more to enable them to take care of their bills.
On the other hand, the regulator, PURC, insists the adjustments are necessary and will benefit both consumers and service providers.
For the case of water, there are two main reasons. One is to do with the electricity cost, which is a pass-through cost to water, because Ghana Water also uses electricity to produce the water. So all the costs and the cost of producing water is about 30% of electricity. 30% of GWCL's cost is electricity. So that cost passes through to the GWCL. So we need to recover that cost. Secondly, chemical cost. The chemicals that they purchase is coming from abroad. You don't produce the chemicals here, and they need to change the money into dollars before they can purchase the chemicals from abroad. So obviously, the chemical cost, which has gone up, also needs to be taken care of through the exchange rate.
The PURC also cautions customers against engaging in illegal connections that may arise as a result of the tariff adjustment.
When you do that, one, you weaken the utility service provider. Two, when you are apprehended, it's likelihood that you'll be jailed. So why do you put all of that on yourself? If you have the money and you can even pay little by little, just go to the utility service provider. They will understand. Even if you have a payment plan and you want to pay over a period of time, they will understand. And you pay it gradually.